Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and it's a fun little Tuesday, Schlegs. I feel like I'm finally back in the saddle a little bit, feeling good. Got some decent sleep again last night, not on an airplane. When you never go to bed, like in your bed, I don't know if the day actually flips over or not. I know it does on the calendar, but to your body, it doesn't really feel like it did. So last night, getting a chance to lay down in my bed and relax a little bit, and just kind of downshift. It's felt pretty good. So appreciate it. We got a big show with Bill Bender lined up today. So that's going to be pretty fun as well. We've got some interesting stuff going on, obviously, with quarterbacks and everything else. Everything. We're out here. We're live. We're ready to go. And listen, folks, if you're watching, please like, subscribe, leave your comments and questions. I love all that. So I left my phone over here so we can retweet and get everything going, Schlegs. But it's going to be fun. We got the draft coming up, so we're going to have a prospect preview. Working on getting a couple more Buckeyes on tomorrow or potentially on Thursday before the draft, maybe even on Friday, depending on when guys go and what that ultimately looks like. So pretty darn excited potentially about that and what that could be. Schlegs, it's Tuesday, man. It's a Taco Tuesday. What are we up to? How are we doing?
Man, we're doing good, except for the fact that you guys broke the news about morning juice today, which is absolutely terrible. Makes no logical business sense considering the fact that you guys were number one in men and number two in adults for like the past 5 years. But I mean, attack and dominate, go Bucks, beat cancer. Really good. Actually, this morning I picked up my John Deere mower this morning.
Oh, nice.
I was live on the show with you guys, did some work for the Difference USA because that thing is just getting bumpy. Then came up to the armory, got a good little, trained my chesticles a little bit. And then after the show, I got to hop over, driving to Pittsburgh because our guy Phil Matus, who's the head strength coach for the Steelers, they redid their weight room and stuff. So there's some great pieces of equipment that they got to get taken off their hands. And sometimes you just got to charge those things to win. And so me and my buddy DK, David Kelly, it's his birthday today. He's about.
If you would have told me, Schlegs, I would have freaking cruised on over there with you, man.
You are so busy. You're honestly, there's only one other person that I know is as busy as I am, and it's you. And they're doing like
you remember my daughter? We talked yesterday.
Oh, that's right. You only 3 hours a day, Dad. You only work 3 hours a day. Let alone the fact that you're also teaching class. You do the show. You do this podcast. You take care of recruits and try to show them like what the Buckeye life is all about and how that can set you up for success in life to their parents as they help weigh in on those type of deals. And that brought me to another thing. Like when you look at Ohio State, like those are the conversations that we want to have because that adds to our value proposition. The ones that don't have that mindset of the future for their child, my son's going to Finley. Well, what do they have in Finley? Their finance school is really good, but they also have Marathon, and there's another big corporation that's up there, along with my, brand here in Columbus, Ohio, and all of the Buckeye Brotherhood.
They got the Northwest Coaches, Northwest Ohio Coaches Association event up there every year. So maybe
that. Finley?
Yeah, dude. That's where we. That's
where I thought that was in Youngstown that you were trying to get me
Northwest, Schlegs.
Oh,
Northwest.
Okay, well, that is Northwest. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, guess what? I'll be there now. I'll be there. Just be there to show up. Yeah. But yeah, it's going good, man. It's a great day. We're talking shop. Here's the deal. There's a guy, Jared Bartlett. He's a linebacker. Was at West Virginia. Played at Cincinnati. He's up here because his girlfriend is with the Fury. I only get one more day in the room with them tomorrow.
Is he the guy that's the man? When does he train? Because my daughter was saying, she's like, there's like a man that comes in here and like lifts. And
yeah. That's not him. No,
okay.
That is Cody. Cody is into flag football and he's also a Michigan fan and he works the front desk sometimes. And he just wanted to get some of that training. And like RJ Day's doing great. Like he just had a great little quarterback deal when did a nice job running. But yeah, he pops in from time to time. And I saw him the other day, like, what the Sam Dickens are you doing here? But no. Jared comes in the morning and it was me, him, and Cade. That's how I like it. Like just dudes that, want to get after it. And I coach all their running because I can't run with them and coach them on those things that they need. But in the weight room, you're just my partner and I'm going to smash your face in a positive manner.
That's key. Well, it's dude on dude accountability, which is one of the key tenets of any great successful program. You got to have dudes that are accountable to other dudes, and it's tremendous. And so as we look at this, I want to touch base on the story before we get Bill Bender, I guess, coming in here, because I want to get his thoughts and everything on it as well. But we talked a lot about Nico Iamaleava, like the quarterback for Tennessee. Asked for backstory in case you don't know. Held out the day before the spring game, wanted to get a lot of dollars after getting his helmet cracked by Ohio State. Reportedly, then it also came out that maybe he was trying to get some dollars before even the playoff game, potentially. And so he had that going with him as well that he was having to deal with. And so Tennessee said, no dice, you can go, and looked, bounced around a couple of schools that they said were maybe interested. Now, reportedly, I guess he's going to be landing at UCLA. His brother, Madden Iamaleava, who is just enrolled at Arkansas, came in early, mid-year. He's going to be transferring there to back him up. And so that leaves UCLA. They had a quarterback, and we can probably throw this up here, Pat. They had a quarterback in Joey Aguilar. Well, where's he going to go? Well, apparently, Schlegs, it's time for the old switcheroo. And Joey Aguilar is going to be then going to Tennessee to compete for their starting quarterback job.
Yeah, it's
how do we say, this is kind of the first unofficial trade that we had in college football right now.
Yeah, it's, one thing is with this free agency in the NFL, like you have like your selected guys that you have, and you're trying to fill the gaps, which is, to me, that's the portal. We know that Ohio State is looking, potentially some quarterback depth veteran in there, not necessarily a starter, but somebody that can add depth to the room. Looking at interior defensive linemen, pretty set on a lot of other things, very, very selective in who they want to bring in. Then you have like this situation where UCLA wanted to add a quarterback, added a quarterback, that quarterback's in. It's like, oh man, we can go get this guy that, again, he was from App State. He comes in. Oh, we like this guy more. We'll go give him some more money. Now you got this room. And then they also brought in the brother. It's like, well, where is my fit? I thought, I was going to have an opportunity to compete for this position. And that also goes into, well, now there's that expectation that you have a guy that was making 2.4. You got a deal at 1.5. We got to start that guy. So he's going to potentially be given more chances because you don't want to feel that you missed on that when you could have paid this guy less. And so it's like, oh no, I'm good. I'm gone. Right. So who wants me? And that's part of this cycle and why I don't like it, because now you have that guy that's going over here. Now he's going back. Now he's going to Tennessee. It's just a difficult situation. Hey, at the end of the day, it probably worked out for all parties, but still nonetheless something that we need to discuss, which is also why we got to go to one portal.
Yeah, the double portal window. And then this, like right here, this is where it's getting a little bit ridiculous. And I think when this happened, I think we joked. I used to joke about this a lot in different mediums and shows when I'd come on and talk and like, hey, one day you're going to have straight up player trades in college. And this isn't like a true quote player trade, but it's about as close as you're getting. You're going 1-for-1 with Joey Aguilar going from UCLA to Tennessee and Nico going from Tennessee to UCLA. And so they're switching. And Joey Aguilar just came there, Schlegs, I believe, from App State.
Yeah.
So he hasn't even been at UCLA all that long. He gets there, and I understand if you're him, why you ultimately want to leave.
For sure.
Like you said, they just paid all this guy. They brought his brother in, for heaven's sakes. Like, I mean, like
package deal, right?
Do you think if Nico did get hurt, that they were going to play you versus playing his brother?
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the case. So obviously, everything that went on with that and everything that was going through there, like it's a lot to obviously unpack. And here now, this is what you're going to have, Schlegs. And we got Bill Bender here. We'll get to it in a minute or two, because I want to hear his take on this and everything. But now they have a direct comparison. It's a direct 1-for-1. And you'll be able to watch the film and like, who's playing better? Who was worth more? And which situation was better? I think Tennessee will probably still win more games. And they're a team that, despite being the SEC, they made the CFP last year. Like UCLA, were they 7-5? you're and what have they added? Like Tennessee's added pieces, and yeah, they've got a tough schedule, but I don't know that Nico Iamaleava at UCLA is going to be demonstratively better than Joey Aguilar. And if Joey Aguilar can get them to 10-2 and on the fringe of the playoffs, and heaven forbid get them in, you start looking at that, Schlegs, and when you start talking about dollars now in college football, it's like the salary cap in the NFL. Yeah, you'd always like to have a whole roster full of Pro Bowl players, but the reality is you have to choose how you allocate your resources. And if you're Tennessee and you start seeing this, you're like, well, I don't know what they're paying Joey Aguilar, but they're thinking instead of paying him, Nico, the $4 million or even 2.5, we could have spent this and then taken the rest of X minus that and allocated those resources to other players. And maybe that is the solution of being able to help get them over the top and do all those things. So that's
they were 5-7 last year, right? First year in the Big Ten, you're 5-7. This year they got Utah.
I thought they got to 500.
2024 UCLA Bruin football 5-7, 3-6 in the
That's
Big Ten.
right. Because if they would have beat USC at the end of the season, they could have been 6-6, and so would have USC. So yeah, 5-7. So I guess if they get to 7-5, is like that a significant improvement? I don't know if you're paying that much. Is that really worth it? So we've got a direct 1-for-1 right now, and everybody's going to see it. It's going to be there, and this is probably going to be the time where no two quarterbacks are probably going to be scrutinized more this year, and probably Nico more than obviously Joey Aguilar, but they're going to be watched with a fine-tooth comb to see how they play as a direct comparison, and probably for future quarterback decisions. Like, is the grass always greener somewhere else? You may have better numbers, but would you rather be part of a rising tide on a better team that lifts all ships?
And if you look at Josh Heupel and his offense and what you can do, right, versus what you're getting Deshaun Foster at UCLA. Again, when you're comparing these things, honestly, I think Aguilar is going to a better situation at Tennessee against better competition, not necessarily better competition of SEC, Big Ten, but just of his team. Because defensively, Tennessee plays really good defense, and we saw UCLA struggle at times last year. So it's who's going to have a better opportunity to win? I think Tennessee does over UCLA.
Absolutely. All right. We got Bill Bender coming up here next. Before we get out of here, I want to tell you about Export. Attention parents and athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouthguards, trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouthguards are scientifically tested to help absorb those high-impact hits to protect both your teeth and your brain. Export mouthguards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber that they 3D print that thing right to your own customized grill. Means more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby to save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. Bill Bender, the sporting news, coming up next.
Richard.
Welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. Now joined by our guy, the sporting news, Mr. Bill Bender, with some great news there out of the Big Ten and the SEC. Bill, when we heard about everything that was going on with the quarterback full swap now, plus you had a package deal with the Iamaleava brothers, kind of what was your first take when all this started to come into focus? Oh, we got him muted.
Oh, sorry about that. There we go. That's only the.
Come on, Richard.
That's
You're a professional.
That's a detail we missed. My head's spinning, Bobby, like everybody else. The switcheroo. Now Madden Iamaleava going to UCLA when he decommitted. That was yet another wrinkle. One of the things you guys were talking about in the last segment that I wanted to point out, Joey Aguilar is going to be like Tennessee's favorite son this year. There's no doubt. And he's a guy that's played, 2 years ago, they took North Carolina to the limit. Overtime game. He played very well. Played against Clemson, maybe not as well last year, but he's played a lot of football. Going to have to limit the turnovers, but in that quarterback-friendly system, I think he can have success. And it is crazy to me that how quickly, once Nico goes to UCLA, Joey Aguilar goes to Tennessee. And like you guys said, they will be compared and propped up against each other all season long. It'll be a lesser version to me of like Will Howard and Kyle McCord, for example.
Yes, 100%. And Bill, because of this like switcheroo and like the ability for teams, and it's different, like other positions, Texas, and they're like, everybody's crystal balling like all these interior defensive linemen going to like one school. And then, it's Scott Frost talking about the portal and these teams with money. And unfortunately, like Ohio State kind of gets lumped into there, though I think Ohio State is doing it 100% the right way. What now with this? Has it changed your view on one portal, two portal? When do you put the portal? Because like it's also people are making decisions predicated upon like where they could go and have success. But then a school's like, oh no, we want to go get this guy. Then what? Like, how does this like change your view on the whole collegiate portal deal?
I haven't thought about two portals as much, but now that you've said it a few times, if I had a way to do it, I think you do the winter portal. Obviously, after the playoff, you've got to fix the calendar so that they are able to make an educated decision maybe after the playoff and allow for it. And I don't know what exemptions you have to go through with the schools, for example. I always point to the Bo Pribula thing last year where he transferred from Penn State while they were in the middle of a playoff run, and then had Drew Aller gone down, they would have had to go down to Ethan Grunkemeyer, Ohio kid also. You don't want to see that happen. And now in the spring, one possibility that you could curb some of this is, could we do it that the spring portal is only graduate transfers? Is that a possibility? So like if you're down to your last shot to play football and you've got 1 year left, maybe you can leave after the spring if you see it's not going to happen here. I'm not going to get a chance to play. I maybe that's a reasonable thing. Some people might think it's unfair.
So I like that, Bill. I've always enjoyed giving people more flexibility and liberty when you've completed a task, and like there's stipulations attached to it where, hey, you went to college, you graduated, and now you have the ability to transfer. Like the grad transfer, I always thought should be exempted because at the end of it, I know that this is minor league football now, but still, like there is still an element of college, and that's what you're going there, and that's part of it. Were you surprised? Because we're now in the third year of this transfer portal, third, fourth iteration of it. Are you surprised that it took this long before we finally got to see like a 1-for-1 exchange at a significant position like quarterback?
A little bit. I mean, we've had guys go and like you said, I mentioned McCord and Howard, where maybe Ohio State fans were comparing those two throughout the year and even through the draft process. But the more I think about it, this one's way more intense because it's, UCLA, do they go 7-5 with him? I do think if you stacked up Big Ten quarterbacks for 2025, that Nico would be in the top third, probably top five. Is Joey Aguilar a top 5 quarterback in the SEC this year? Does he lead them to a 9-3 or 10-2 record somehow? And, he will have them rallying behind him because those same Tennessee fans are going to watch every UCLA game and root against the Bruins. There's no question. And they have a brutal November schedule, by the way.
Yeah, it is brutal. Let's go. Let's switch gears.
Well, they come to Ohio State, which is going to be tremendous since he was up here last time with Tennessee. He'll be coming into the shoe, so he'll get a little experience, Bill. He's already experienced the cold, and we'll see if that actually helps benefit him and pays dividends next year.
Yeah, and for Nico, I never root against the kid. I just don't. I don't have it in me to root against an 18 to 22-year-old. But with the understanding here that the pressure's on him, and a lot of that, whether it was him, family, handlers, whatever, a lot of this was self-inflicted. Yep. The way that they went about it and ended up at UCLA. So the pressure on him, he is close to home. His brother will be there. I do like Deshaun Foster. I thought they competed last year. They were 5-7, but I watched them compete for 4 quarters against Penn State. And I think the lessons he learned from playing in the NFL, I don't know if you ever crossed paths with him when you were in the NFL, Bobby, but I always thought he was a solid player at that level, and he understands the business side of it. There's no question.
Hey, let's switch gears because it's the night of the draft coming up in a couple days. And we got all these Buckeyes. I mean, there's a chance that 16 could be drafted. Everybody wants to talk about first rounds. I'm not necessarily a first round guy. I think more of the fits now and opportunities in the NFL for longevity. But who do you think, best case scenario, because I've heard out there it could be up to 5 guys. Who do you think is going to be able to go in the first round realistically?
For the Buckeyes, I think definitely a Mecca.
Yep.
If you're looking for a professional receiver. And, it's become – I watched Tommy Boy a couple weeks ago. It's like, is there a guarantee on the box? You don't need it with Ohio State receivers, right? They're good.
Yes.
And I think
love that reference.
Yeah, it's not a bad reference. But a Mecca, you trust the pipeline here. You trust who you're getting the receiver from. Actually, you guys know I'm a Green Bay guy. I would love to see him land there. That would be a perfect receiver for Jordan Love to work with for the next 5 years. Then the question is some of the linemen. Does Tyleik sneak into the first round as a defensive tackle? You guys could probably sort the offensive linemen out better than me, but I think Josh Simmons and Donovan Jackson, maybe one of those guys gets into the first round. And then you start to get into day 2, where I think day 2 is going to be basically a PSA for Ohio State, because you're going to have anywhere from 5 to 8 Buckeyes taken on day 2 of the NFL draft.
Yeah, it'll be, I think, one of the things in this draft, Bill, I think it's kind of indicative of Ohio State, but also the draft pool at large, maybe a ton of top 10 crazy talent players, but between 20 and 100, I've heard this is the deepest draft you're going to find. And I think Ohio State could possibly have a guy taking every, 8 to 12 picks at that point in time, where you may have potentially 8 or 9 guys go in that kind of end of first to mid 4th round, if you look at that in totality.
Right. And I did a mock draft last night where there was 8 experts in a room, and we did a 2-round mock, and we each got 4 teams. And then you found in the second round, that's when it started. And then you make decisions. I mean, do you like Jack or JT more? Well, the answer can be both, because I think both are going to have solid careers at the next level. Detroit's an interesting landing spot for Jack. I saw that on a couple mock drafts, given what happened with Michigan and Ohio State. But I always tell people, if he lands in Detroit, that's fine, because they took an Ohio State linebacker once, a middle linebacker named Chris Spielman, and he did just fine in Detroit for about a decade. So that would be an interesting landing spot for him.
Hey, I'm not necessarily switching gears. Bob, if you want me to, if I can go to something else outside the draft. I saw this, and I want you to speak about it, Bill, Richard, because you're covering all of sports. But so far, Ohio State has had 0 total scholarship players transfer in the spring portal. Culture matters. Championships help too. This comes from the Silver Bulletin. Talk a little bit about that job as we're seeing the chaos and the flip-flop and trade-in and other people going to different places. What does that say about the state of Ohio State football?
More like Alabama than Georgia. And I'll say that in that Alabama, we did this every year under Nick Saban, where we're like, oh, my Lord, his coordinators left. What are they going to do? Are there cracks at Alabama? Well, I think Nick Saban created a lot of jobs for other coaches that came in through there, and offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, you name it. I mean, look at Lane now, look at Sarkisian. So that's what happened this year. Ohio State had some coordinators leave, but look who comes in. The coaching staff has been juggled. There's no question. But that tells me that, that's partially creating opportunities. Brian Hartline has another opportunity now. But the fact that the players aren't leaving is that they want a piece, that they want to compete. You see the environment there. C.J. Donaldson talked about that at one of the practices, that it was like, okay, we're doing a drill with tires, and I'm competing with James Peoples, and this is intense. And I think that's the culture they built there, and that's probably why they will challenge the NFL draft record. I don't know if they'll get to 15, but if they do, I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, we're going to take a quick break with Bill. Going to come back with more. I want to get his thoughts on the departure of a legend and some other draft little news and notes here coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, back in with Bill Bender, the Sporting News, doing a great job covering college football, NFL, all things all around the place. Give him a follow on X at Bill Bender 92 and check out all of his stuff on the Sporting News. Does a great job right there. Lee Corso stepping down, but I don't think we've had a chance to talk to you since that was announced. Kind of your thoughts on his career. I know that he obviously had the stroke about a decade ago, and trying to window the right time to retire can be very, very difficult, but he is going to be 90. And it got me thinking, I was like, I don't know too many people for his final appearance that will have been a paid, participant on a television program and that are 90 years old plus. And so kind of your thoughts on Lee Corso and how all this has played out over, the last 40 years for him.
Oh, just the passion he has for it. I remember the first time I interviewed him, this was probably 2002. And, you fast forward 20 years and it's the same personality, the genuine love for the sport, the interest level that they've brought to the college game on game day. I mean, think about the risk that they took way back in 1993, going to South Bend for the Florida State Notre Dame game. And then it becomes a phenomenon. And I don't want to reduce Lee Corso to just the headgear pick, which is what we all remember. And there's so many moments from that. I mean, just his passion for the game, the catchphrases that he's brought to our living rooms, like not so fast, those kind of things. I think it's absolutely iconic. And I've always enjoyed the back and forth with him and Kirk Herbstreit, that Kirk Herbstreit's been such a good friend to him in that environment. Game day has changed. We have Big Noon Kickoff now. We have other shows that you can tune into, but for that run from like late 90s through, like early 2010s, there wasn't another show you put on to watch about college football other than Game Day.
Yeah, it's been great. Go ahead and throw up that thing about Corso's most worn mascot headgear. Because again, it started Kurt, right? Buckeye. His wife was a cheerleader. Boom, Corso throws on the headgear, which was a great thing. And that's things like this, Bill, right? The nostalgia of it. Like I remember in us playing night games at Ohio State, and what do you turn on? You turn on, ESPN and Corso, and who's he going to pick? Or what are they going to say about your team in that game? And it either fuels the fire or yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's go do this deal. But what a long stable. Do you think people are thinking about Richard Bender right now in the Sporting News in that same light? Or is there something that you yourself want to do? Like maybe it's not a mascot thing, but something that you could give the readers. Have you thought about something like that?
Well, we used to have the Angry Bender series at Sporting News, but I've chilled out since. And no, I'm not going to put myself in the same sentence as Lee Corso ever. I mean, that's just respect for, what he's done. I mean, you seek to contribute to the game in positive ways. I think I do that at minimum and try to be fair. That's our role as journalists. But, with Lee, there was, for example, not to change the subject, but in 1999, he didn't miss. And that's a story we are going to work on where every time he picked the headgear, he was correct all the way through the season. So, think about how hard that is because you get so much crap when you miss picks and you pick the wrong team and you might but he went through that entire season. And if you look back at that season, I mean, it was Michael Vick, Virginia Tech, Florida State, Ron Dane was at Wisconsin. So those are the memories I have where, he is part of that golden age that really elevated this sport to its current state.
Absolutely. It's been pretty impressive with what he's done. And you mentioned some iconic players there. One that's got me very interesting and curious about his success at the next level and how they're going to be utilized is Travis Hunter. And Bill, kind of what is your opinion on him right now? I think he's probably going to go second overall. Either Cleveland takes him or someone else trades up to get him. with him and his ability to transition as a pro, just he's very gifted, but he's very raw, I think, on both sides of the ball, just due to the fact he played so much that he wasn't probably able to get his position-specific work as you would have liked. And he's not the biggest guy in the world. Like, he's a fairly thin human being, and so you start exposing him to a lot of snaps, like risk of injury. Like, where are you at on the Travis Hunter phenomenon with what we've seen and what he could potentially be?
Well, it's almost opposite of what I hear and read. Is a lot of people and experts are projecting him to be a corner, more of a corner than a receiver. But when I watched him at receiver, I was like, man, he made that catch. He made that play. I think, for the Browns, he makes the most sense if they're not going to go Shedeur, which it doesn't look like they are, and you're not going to take Abdul Carter because you already have Myles Garrett, and you want to generate fan interest. I mean, a two-way player who I know I have buddies that are Browns fans that still have Josh Cribbs jerseys laying around somewhere. This guy's a lot. No disrespect at all to Josh Cribbs. He was great, right? A great iconic player. This guy's a two-way player. Right. It's when they love you in Cleveland. I'm not, like I said, I wasn't disrespecting Josh at all. When they love you, whether you're Cribbs or Benny Thompson, and I could go on. There's some obscure Browns pulls I can throw. Eric Metcalf, when they love you, they really love you. And Travis Hunter could be the kind of player that they really love. Yeah,
he said this. He's like, Travis Hunter says he's never playing football again if he can't play wide receiver and cornerback in the NFL. Question is this: if that is the case, and you're looking at him, is it one of those things where what's the better road? You're a cornerback, and then we're going to have packages for you as a wide receiver, or you're a wide receiver that can go in and give us spot help at corner. What do you think?
I would do that one, the wide receiver, and then put him in nickel situations, third downs, whatever. And I didn't take that story at its word. I just think this guy's a competitor. He didn't have to play every snap at Colorado, but he did. And I really think some people would read into that the wrong way. Is he going to be a problem in Cleveland? I don't think so. I just think he wants to play football. He's got shades of Deion in his game. And again, with Cleveland, there's a guy that you can rally around. And they have, like I said, the fan favorites that they've had. He could be one instantly, and he will help your football team. The one thing I always said about Travis Hunter last year, when you turned on the TV, he was always around the football, especially on defense. I'd be like, well, how was he in that spot? So a right place, right time guy, and those guys tend to do well at the next level.
You think him and Shedeur should be getting there? Well, I mean, he's a Heisman Trophy winner, so I get it. But the retiring of him and Shedeur's numbers at Colorado?
Mixed feelings on that. Travis, yes, but it's early, right? They're barely off campus. So to me, and then you start to look back and, why is Cordell's number not retired at Colorado? The guy that threw the Hail Mary. Why is I could pull it all the way back to Darian Hagan.
When Rashawn Salam there?
Yeah. He does have his number retired.
Okay, all right, there you go.
So, let's do it that way. But again, Deion, I keep saying I am glad Deion is still in college football because he draws interest to the sport, because every headline of him we either love or hate. And there was a lot of talk that he might leave because Shedeur and Shiloh aren't there. I think it's good for college football that we have another year of Deion Sanders, regardless of how you feel about him.
What type of success do you think he has after the departure of those two?
Well, I mean, you're in the right conference for that. The Big 12 is still wide open. We have a profile tomorrow going on Cam Scadaboo, who literally brought Arizona State into our living room this year, and they have Sam Levitt back. BYU is going to be solid in that conference. I enjoy the Big 12 from the standpoint of it feels like the ultimate mid-major now, where, one of these teams is going to go to the playoff. I don't know how many years they'll get to, but the parity in that conference we picked Oklahoma State to win that conference last year, and I'm pretty sure they finished last. So when you have that unpredictability factor in a conference, it's not maybe the high level that the SEC and the Big Ten is, though Arizona State did take Texas to the wire. I enjoy it, though. I think it'll be a wide open race, and I still think you'll have some level of success. I just don't know if it'll be 10-11 win good this year.
It'll be interesting, Bill. We appreciate the time, sir. Thank you for spending some of that with us today, and look forward to catching up here later next week.
Hey, I'll catch up with you guys next week. Thanks so much.
That's our guy, Bill Bender, 92 on Twitter, and then give him a follow on, follow him on Sporting News and all the great stuff that he's putting together there. Now, I want to tell you about one of our great new partners with this, cool new apparel brand, Backer. That's BCKR, premium jackets and hats. They wanted to make better fan gear, high quality stuff. It may cost a little more, but it's the same stuff you're going to see out there with your hunting, your skiing, your fishing. They've got an unbelievable product. I love Schlegs. They're cool. One pullover. It's a lightweight half zip, super breathable. It uses patented fabric technology. It cools your skin when you wear it. And so while it's going to protect you and keep you warm, it's also not going to be hot. And it's got sun protection in there. It's lightweight, great for the golf course, on the boat, around town. Like, it's all versatile. It's multi-personal. I've got one. I love it. I put it
in
on
your Jeep.
As soon as you know what? I'm going to probably wear that around. I'm going to drive the Jeep today. I'm pretty excited.
Let's do it. Do that thing, Bob.
And here's the thing. With every purchase of the Buckeye gear from there at Backer, that's bckr.com, portion of that sale is going to go back to the Ohio State student athletes. Use promo code all caps Bobby for some premium expedited shipping. Again, that's Backer, bckr.com, to get your Buckeye gear. We got our prospect preview coming up in headlines. Tyleik, our guy, coming up next. All right, welcome back to the Bobby Carpenter Show. And now we've got our headlines, Schlegs, which are brought to you by friends over at Lake Spur Marketing. They're a full-service ad agency built on trust, strategy, performance. Lake Spur, their team shields you and your team from outside noise, cold callers. They will let you do what you do best, run your business. They got over 100 years of marketing experience. Lake Spur eliminates the waste, and they deliver on time and on budget. They don't chase clicks. They build partnerships. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in their partners. All right, Tyleik Williams, Schlegs, defensive tackle at Ohio State. Tweaked his hammy in his 40 when he was running here.
Why are they running 40-yard dashes when you're an offensive?
That's okay. You can get into that in just a second. 6'3", 329, senior.
Beefy.
Got beefy. I mean, he's a dude. He's got to keep his weight under control. He was on Good Morning Football the other day. Looks great. Got a second-round grade on him. He's ultra athletic, big dude, great penetrator up the field. He was one of the guys who was kind of one of the unsung heroes on the D-line, I thought, in their playoff run, because he didn't have a ton of production, but he caused a lot of chaos in the backfield, and that allowed for Jack and for JT and everybody else cycling through to go make those plays. And so kind of give me some of your insight, Schlegs, as to what you see with Tyleik.
Tyleik is strong. He's powerful. He's got a low center of gravity. He's great with his hands, moves very, very well laterally. And that was part of the deal, right? With the NFL, Donnie did a great job of actually articulating zone blocking versus gap, which I'm happy that everybody got to get into that. But the fact when they're running zone and you can work that and not allow other people just to get free hitters up to your second level, because it is so much timing, it's going to open up a lot more plays for him. But we saw what it did, especially in the NFL. Everybody talks about pocket presence and all these different things. The number one thing they want to do is what? Step up into the pocket. And when you have somebody like him that can get some penetration or get some pushback and they can't step up, that's where it frees up. And again, the NFL game has completely changed. It's starting to filter its way down to the college level, but it's all about that speed and that skill on the perimeter. And that's how those guys can make those explosive plays on the edge that can disrupt an offense. And he's that type of guy.
Well, he's got great awareness, like you said, sniffing out the screen, being able to read and feel the blocks, good upfield bursts, very explosive player. Let's get to some of his weaknesses, Pat, what they look at, and the scouts are bringing that up. Not the biggest dude. They say below average length.
That's long. That's arm length, guys.
Long arms, like big frame. Doesn't consistently maybe push the packet. Not known for his ability to counter. He's He does a great job first move, beating guys, mature his pass rush beyond his initial attack, and that comes with a counter. And that's some of that's experience and just working through it. Um, Strong backs can potentially run through fingertip tackles. I don't even know what the heck that means. He has missed some time with some injury over the course of the last couple of years. So that's one of the other issues, Schlegs, as you talk about the injury element. Is he a guy that's going to be able to stay in there and be able to play with you each and every week?
Yeah, and that's one of the things where you go back and we saw this maturation with Josh. And when I saw Josh, like when we were training, there was a time where, and man, it's so amazing. Like this generation thinks about, like, they look at social media and other people's bodies, and it's like, bro, that's not your body. Like your body type, like you got to remember, we play the game of football. You don't need more size in your legs. Like you need to be 238 pounds. Like there's ways of doing that without actually putting on more size. And there's some people that need size. There's some people that need less size, right? So it's just finding the balance of what allows you to be the best football player you can possibly be. Josh Simmons, like he needed to add weight. Boom, he comes in. Now he's like 315. He looks the part of an offensive left tackle in the NFL, right? Tyleik, 329. What is 320? Like, what is that range that he can be in to where he can have a second move? He can play longer. You don't have to, you don't want to be a 2-down lineman. Like those guys get washed out. They're going to have rotation in the interior part of that line, but like, do you have some go-go juice? You know what I mean? So that's always constantly working on your body. And also it's an 18, 17 game season. It's a battle of attrition. Can you be there for the long haul? And that's something that you always got to take into consideration. That's why it's like that tweener, second, first round. Who wants to take a pick? Who needs somebody in the interior line like that? Could somebody be high up on some guys that want to trade down and say, I see the value in him, I'll get him? That's how he sneaks in.
I like that, Schlegs. I like your thoughts on it there. And Pat threw there in the chat, I swear every one of these guys' previews say our guys are thick, girthy, or beefy. Maybe all of it. I mean, I hope that my report says that. I mean, thick, girthy, and beefy, Schlegs. That's
compliment.
It really is a compliment. And whatever you're complimenting, I'm all for. I think it's tremendous. But I think that's also a product of the Mickey Marotti weight room and how you build those guys and what they look like. But Tyleik should be a really good one. Hopefully he can, if he stays healthy, does some good things at the next level, I think he can be a really good player. All right, coming up next, we answer your questions and a little bit of tailgate talk coming up here next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, welcome back to the Bobby Carpenter Show. It's time for our tailgate talk brought to you by our friends at Real Truck. Go to realtruck.com, outfit your truck, Jeep, or Bronco. Bring it to life at realtruck.com. And Schlegs, like you said, it's beautiful out here today. So this is the time to ultimately get it done. You want to get outside and really enjoy some of that this fine Ohio weather, because we don't get it all the time. Looking at some tailgate talk, Schlegs, we talked about Tyleik. Tyleik Williams. You got Ty Hamilton as well.
Yeah,
girthy, very different type of guys.
Yeah.
I thought really complemented each other very well, though. Tyleik probably a little more up the field guy. Ty Hamilton did a great job holding point. Maybe a little bit of the difference, if you can talk about just in those two, of what you're going to be asked them to do at the next level and what they're probably best at.
Well, I think the run support of Ty Hamilton, and again, I love the fact that they call themselves TNT, and that was kind of fun. But to me, Tyleik is a little bit quicker off the ball. And that's why I go back like to Tyleik saying they were talking about like arm length. Well, arm length really doesn't matter if I can strike a dude. Because again, it's not me just
hold up. That's coming from a guy with super short arms. So of course you're going to say arm length doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah, of course I am. But again, like here's my biggest thing about it too, right? The game of football is all about what? It's about leverage. The ball.
Yeah.
So it's about the ball, right? And it's leverage and it's pace, space, and angles. And if I'm a shade or I'm a three, and that, yeah, I got to do my job if it's a zone or whatever, but it's to get off that guy and go up and make a tackle. Like the ball is always the issue. And we've seen it from a lot of great players, especially in the interior defensive line. Guys that can shock and shed and get off and make plays have a tremendous amount of value because they stop plays from happening. And that's kind of like what Tyleik does. And then Ty, it's to more of like the Patriot way. Guys that can go in there and be a three technique and hold a point and build a wall. Like all defenses are not the exact same. Some guys have a lot of different things that they emphasize. And again, that's where it goes into fits and opportunities. And to me, when I look at Ty Hamilton, wherever he goes in that round, somebody's going to get a steal. And all that I care about is it goes to a team that is like that wants toughness, that wants somebody that's going to build a wall. It's not like, oh, I need this guy to go out there and get 10 sacks a year. That's not his game. But his game is definitely building a wall and making the plays that he needs to be able to make. And he's going to be somebody that goes out there and is just a consummate worker and a professional.
You know, there was a comment made earlier, Schleigs, up during the show. It said that NIL has ruined college football. Do you agree with that? Like wholly?
I don't think it's ruined college football. It's the fact that it hasn't been regulated and the adults in the room have not done a good enough job of like setting a standard and a precedent as to what it actually should look like, feel like, act like. You would think that with all of the other coaches talking about the things that they need, because they're the ones that are in the weeds negotiating with their own players in all the different states and what you can do, that could easily be negated if they said, this is how we're going to do it. But the body, AKA the NCAA, has no validity whatsoever to be able to uphold a standard, but yet they can give out regulations and punishments to do so. Like they have done nothing. And that's the problem. The adults in the room just said, you know what, we're just going to throw this on the whiteboard, throw this on the board, hope it sticks, and we'll deal with it as it comes. And whoever wants to make the decision can make the decision. We just don't want to have that, so we'll continue to pass the buck. Those are the people that have put college football back. It will eventually get taken care of, but not in the foreseeable future.
Buckeyes. Well, coming up next, we will wrap up the show with the parting thoughts here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, Schleiks, you got 30 seconds to be
30 seconds.
Be the
beautiful.
Be the Rambler, not Kenny Rogers the Gambler.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. So, you know what's funny? I was just listening to somebody. We had some loan people and some realtors, and they're over here doing an event at the Armory, and Kelsey Lensman was talking, and people were just like takeaways, nuggets, and proactive versus reactive, which is a really good one. And that's why we built the Armory, proactive medicine. And then there was somebody who was talking about consistency. And I think so many times, everybody – consistency in life is like continuing to focus on the mission. And whatever your mission is, like mine's very simple. Love God, love my family, right? Serve others. Very simple. Keep your eyes focused on the mission. Same thing in business. Don't get taken away about something that's new and shiny. If it doesn't change lives, doesn't produce revenue, and we don't have the people to make it successful, can't do it. Keep focusing on the mission at hand. And also lastly, somebody, when they talked about consistency, hey, greatness is the accumulation of great days. And to me, like what I'm excited about this, in this NFL draft, we got Buckeyes that are going to the NFL that know how to do it the right way, and I'm excited to see their journey moving forward in the NFL.
That's it for today's show. Stay locked in for the Bobby Carpenter Show. Coming back at you tomorrow.